here, but we'll build it in a second. And we'd like to have one more motion button this time, not div. Let's try to create it. Okay, so as always, this is going to be taking millions of classes. Let me just grab this and put it. So this will look insane, but please, if you really want to, pause the video, take a look at all these classes. It is just giving some styles to make it look awesome. Other than this, we don't really have too much thing. So we just have the hover state, focus state, like all these classes, what it is doing. We have some transition and some width, padding in the Y direction, X direction, and some background gradient. And we'll like to just animate this a little bit, such as when we hover over it, we'll like this to scale up. And when we click to it, we'll like this scale down so that it looks something like this. So I just hovered over it, it scaled up, and I click to it, it just goes down, right? And finally, we'd like to just say type of this is going to be submit. And inside this, we could just say, I think, sign up. Like this, and it should be good to go. Then below this form, we would like to have, and below this div as well, we would like to just have that link. So that would take us to the login page. So we're going to build this section. I'll just say, give me a div with these classes, padding X of, let's say, 8, Y of 4, BG gray of 900. Then we'd like to have background opacity 50, and we'd like to have flex, justify, centered. And inside this, we're gonna have one p tag. This basically says already have an account with a space, and you can just give some classes, text small and text gray of, let's say, 400. And then into it, we could say just a link. This link element will be coming from React Router DOM, so just make sure that you import it at the top. And then we'll go inside to just say log in, maybe just like this, and this would take us to the login page. And let's give some classes, text green of 400, let's say, and on the hover state, we would like to just underline this. Let's save. So this is what we just got. The bottom section is just created, right? And I think once we clicked it, it should take us to the login page. Now we'd like to build this password string component, right? Let's go ahead and create one. I'll just say password, password strength meter.jsx. I hope I don't have a typo, right? Password strength. Okay, I'll create this. This would be looking a little bit complicated at first, but I promise it will make sense if you just try to understand it a little bit, right? So first of all, we're gonna have a component for the password criteria. I'll just go here and try to create it. Const, I'll say password criteria. This is going to be taking a password as an argument, and it is going to just have some logic. Now we'll be using some regular expressions. Let me just go ahead and get this. You can find this from the GitHub repo. This doesn't make too much sense to type this out. Basically, we'll have checks for each of these states. So at least 6 characters, and this is how we can check for it. The password.length contains uppercase letter. We are using regular expressions. This is how we can check if a password contains uppercase letter. Same for the lowercase. It contains a number and special character, such as underscore, right? And we're gonna map through this and just try to either show an X icon, right? Cross icon, or let's say it's gonna be check icon. So this is what you'd like to build with this component. I'll just say return a div. This is gonna have, let's first create it, the class name of margin top of 2 space y of 1. There we go. Then inside we'll just say criteria dot map, and let's just get each, I think I'll just call it as item just to keep it a little bit simpler, and we'll just get the index because we might need it. Then we'll just say div, let's return it for the key, and why this doesn't close that off. Let's just say key is gonna be index, or you can just say label, item.label. It is the same thing because all of them are unique. Then this is gonna take the class name of flex, items would be centered, and text would be xml, just like this. Then inside this div, we'll basically say if item.met the condition, right? Then we would like to render this section or else this section. If it is met, right, we would like to just show this check icon, and let's import it. Then we'll just say class name, size for text green 500, and margin right of 2. This should be good to go, just like this. And in the else case, we'll show this X icon. Let's import it. Then we'll say size for text, instead of red, let's just say gray 500 and margin right of 2. Okay, so this should be good to go, and we'll just show the item label in a span. Let's just say span item.label and give this classes. This is gonna be kind of like dynamic. Let me just give a little bit space, scroll, and I'll say if item.met, this is gonna be text green 500, but else text gray of, let's just say 400. Okay, we can save this. This is gonna be for the password criteria, and we'll be using this just in a second. Okay, so this is also going to take the password as the argument. And here we'll just go ahead and try to create a function to get the strength. So that would be either 1, 2, 3, or 4. If it is like 0, right, we'll just get nothing, just like this. But if it is 1, the first one will be completed. And if it is 2, this is how that will look. If it is 3, and finally, if it is 4th, right? I hope this makes sense. This is what we'd like to do. And again, just to speed up the process a little bit, I paste this function and try to explain. We are going to call this function get strength by passing the password. So it is going to check if it is longer than 6 characters. It's going to make this strength to be 1. And if hit this if check, which is for lowercase and uppercase, and it's going to just make it to be +1. Same for the, I think, numbers and special characters. I hope this is correct, right? I think this is for the digits, right? Yeah, contains a number. This is the exact same thing that we just had. Okay, so this will just return you this strength depending on the password. And we can get the strength text. So that would be either like strong or good or fair or weak, right? Okay, I'll just create this function. If it is 0, very weak, then weak, fair, good, and strong. Okay, so finally, we'll just go ahead and return the JSX. Let's say class name is going to be margin top of 2. Then we'll have a div with class name, flex, justify, centered. Items would be centered as well. Margin bottom of 1. And this is going to have a span. This just says password strength. Let me just grab this, paste it. And we'll like to get the password strength text. Okay, so just like this, then we'll like to render this part actually, this strength meter. And if you can take a look at this, we have 4 different elements, right? They would be either taking the color or they would just take the this grayed out color, right? We'll go below this span and div. We'll just say, give me another div, class name, flex, and space x of 1 we could just give. Then we will have 4 different elements. This is how we can create it. Let's just say 1, 2, 3, or 4. But what happens if you have like 20 different? Would you just type it up until 20? Well, not really. So basically you would just go ahead and say, oops, let's say dot 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 array of 4. This would give you 4 elements that you could map through. I'll just say map get the element as well as the index, and we'd like to return this part, which is going to be a div. Let's just make this to be self-closed because it is just a decoration. We can give the key as the index, then class name, let's just say this is going to be dynamic, height of 1, width of 1 divided by 4, so that we can have four different divs with the same width. Let's say rounded full. We'll give the transition of colors, duration of 300 milliseconds, and here we'll just check. Oops, let's just go give a bit space. I'll just say if the index, let me just go inside, if index is less than strength, then we can actually get the color. So I'll just say get color, and this is a function I think we forgot to create as well. So let me just grab it and put it up here. Okay, if the strength is 0, we're gonna get this color, else red, yellow, and yellow different color, as well as the the green color. And we'll just say get color, and we would like to pass the strength into it, but else this is going to be gray of 600 so that it is grayed out. Let's try to save, and below this div we'll just have the password criteria element. I hope this is going to work. Do we have any typos? We are not using this index, so let's just delete it and just try to test this out. We need to call the password strength meter here and put the password as the argument. So this is what we got. Probably we have some styling issues. Let's just see password strength. They should be spaced out. Let's try to find it. So I just said password strength items maybe should be, I'm sorry, justify should be space between, maybe justify between. Okay, now it is working. Let me just zoom in and just try to test this out. For the password, I'll just put 1, and it contains a number at this point. I'll just say A. It contains a lowercase. I'll put a uppercase A. Contains uppercase letter, and let's put 6 characters. I'll just put A, B, C. There we go. It is 6, and let's put a underscore. There we go. Now it is strong. So this is how that works. I hope it makes sense. First, we built the password criteria section as well as this password strength part. So this is what we have for this component. This is the password criteria. We show either a check mark or X, right? As well as the item label, which is going to be this text. Then we built this part, which is going to be this one. So this is going to be it for this component, and I think we can go into the login page and just try to build it. So if we take a look at this component, this is completed. We need to build the login page. So I'll go close all of these and head over to the login page and just try to build the UI. First of all, I'll just get 2 different states. For the email as well as the password, they would be empty initially, and then we will get the motion import at the top. Let me just grab this actually. Oops, get the import. I cannot copy and paste it for some reason. Let's just say motion from framer motion, and we'll be using some icons from Lucid React, such as mail, log, and loader. This would be for the loading state later in the video, and we're gonna get the link from React Router DOM, and we can create a function. Let's say const handle login. This is going to be passed into the onSubmit. We can basically just prevent the default for now, and we'll have a motion div that we'd like to return. Okay, so this is what we're gonna have with a bunch of classes to give that blurry background, and with some transition that goes from bottom to top, just like in the sign up page. Then we'll have this part. Let me just put it. Oops, so sorry about this, but okay, so we just have a div that says welcome back, just like in the demo, and we'll have two different inputs inside a form. Let's just say form. We're not going to have an action, but instead on submit, this is going to call the handle login function that we just created, and we'd like to have an input element, just like we have done previously. We need to put the icon, the type, placeholder, value, as well as the onChange function. Then let's do the same thing for the password. Okay, so we can just save and see the output. If I go to the login page, this is how that looks. Below to it, we'd like to show a link that says forgot your password. And let's just put it. Once we click to it, it should take us to the forgot password page. So I'll click to it, there we go, but we don't have this page. This is something that we'll build later in the video. Then below this, we would like to have a button that says login, as well as this linking section. So just like in the previous component, we will just have a motion button below this link and even below this div. I'll go ahead and paste it. For now, let's just delete this part, and this is gonna say login. Again, classes looks absolutely insane, but you can pause the video and take a look at it if you really want to. Let's try to see. We just got the login button that has this hover effect, click effect, and we would like to build this bottom section where it just links us to the to the sign up page. Below this form, below this div, but still inside the motion div, we would like to have one more div that says don't have an account, then visit the sign up page. And if we clicked it, we'll go into the sign up page and else in the login page. Now we have some kind of ESLint warning that says instead of using single code, you should escape it with one of these. So if you delete this single code and replace this, it should be working out. But I think this is really annoying. Let's go ahead and disable this. The property is called React No Unescaped Entities. So we'll just go into the ESLint and just say React No Unescaped Entities will be off. And now we just got rid of that error, and we have something that we're not using. So this is going to be this loader. Later in the video we'll be using it. Let me just try to actually show this. I'll say const is loading. Let's just say this is true for now. So for this button, we will say if it is loading, we would like to show a loader with this size, and else this is gonna say login, and we can just say disabled if it is loading. And now since it is true, we're gonna see this icon, but let's just make it to spin. I'll say animate spin, and we can just say text would be centered. Okay, so it spins, but it is not being centered. Maybe we could say MX auto. Okay, so this just works, and this is what we're gonna see in the loading state just for a second. Okay, so we can delete the text center, we don't really need it, and just save and make the is loading to be false. Later in the video, this would be coming from the actual API. So with this, I think we just built the login page as well. Maybe we can really test out the sign up functionality at this point. So we're gonna just fill in this form, and once we say sign up, it should send us an email, and it is going to take us to the verify email page. Maybe we should first build the verify email page and then just try to add this functionality. And before we even build the verify email page, let me just show you how it is going to look like. This is the demo application that I'll just try to sign up with this account, and let's just put password from 1 to 6 and just say sign up. It should send us an email, and it took us to the verify your email page. Here we can see from the URL. So this is a complex component. this is just going to handle a lot of different edge cases, such as if we just put something in, it is going to focus into the next input immediately. And if we delete something, it is gonna focus to the previous one. So this requires a little bit complex logic, and we're gonna see how to build this. And one more edge case is that if you put 6-digit character, so let's just say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, cut this. So let's say you copy it from your email and you focus on this one. If you paste that, it should fill the rest of it, right? So this logic will be a little bit complicated, and so just keep that in mind. If you don't understand the code that we'll be writing in a second, it is completely normal. Maybe you should pause the video and take a look at it, because this is absolutely complex if you have never built something like this previously. So let's start by creating a route called verify-email and create a page called email verification page.jsx. Obviously, we're not going to put it here, but we will just say under the pages.jsx, right? Email verification page. Let's try to create this and import it. We cannot get the auto suggestion, so let's go ahead and get it from here. Let's save and just try to build the UI. I'll go into this page. Let's close this one and navigate to the verify email. So this is how that looks. Okay, so we would like to just build it. Now, for the 6 different input elements, we would like to have a state, and initially all of them are empty, right? So this is how we're gonna build it. I just called it as code for the state name and 6 different empty strings. And then we'd like to keep track of the input references. So this is how we are going to keep track of it using the useRef hook. And there will be some navigations later in the video, so we can just get the navigate function from React Router DOM. So this is something that we'll be using later. And let's try to build the UI maybe pretty quickly. Let's say we will have a div with some classes. I don't really want to care about the UI. That's why I'll just get the class name and paste it. So this will just make it to have this background, right? This color, this width, that kind of thing. And let's go just create a motion div. First, let's just try to import the motion from Framer Motion. And again, I don't really care about too much about the UI or the styling, right? I'll just say motion.dev and give the styles for the classes as well as the animation. And inside this, we will have an h2 that says verify your email with this styling, as well as a p tag. So I will just grab them and paste them. Okay, below this, we would like to have a form. Let's say form is not going to have an action, but it would have the on submit, and let's say class name space y of 6. And below this, we'll have a div with class name, flex, and justify between. So this is going to be the input elements. So what I'll be doing is basically just grab this and maybe paste it. Okay, so we're gonna have this handle change and handle key down functions. Let's just type them out and then I'll explain. And let's say const handle key down and give a little bit space. Okay, so basically we map through this state, which is 6 different elements, and for each of them we return an input, and we give a key as well as a reference that is matching with the current index. So it's going to bind the state to the input ref that we just have, right? Then we have the maximum length for each input, so that if we just paste longer than 6 digit, it is not going to work. Okay, so we have on change and on key down with some stylings, right? And Now I think we can just put a button below this form and just call this a day. Let's just say go under this form, right? Or just maybe above the form, paste this motion.button, and let's get a loading state. For now, this could be hard-coded. Okay, it's gonna be false just for now, and let's try to handle this logic, because currently if we just type something in, nothing is gonna work, right? I'm just pressing my keys like 1, 2, 3, but it is not working because we are not updating the state. So as I said, this is gonna look a little bit complicated at first. If you don't really get this 100%, it is not that important initially. So let's handle the key down case. This is going to be the function when we just press backspace, and if we have some inputs into it, it should focus into the previous input ref, right? Then let's handle the handle change function. So we're gonna get the new code state. This is something that we'll just update, and we need to just keep track of the paste case, right? I'll just say handle pasted content. And this is going to have an if as well as an else case. So in the if case, that means if user pastes something longer than one character. So let's say if value.length is greater than, let's just say a length. If it is greater than 1, that means they just paste something longer than one character. In this case, we'll just map through each element and put it into the new code. This is going to be the new state, and we'll like to just focus onto the next element. So I'll again copy the code and just paste it. Focus on the last non-empty input or the first empty one. So if they paste something like just 1, 2, right? I'll just say 1, 2, cut this, and once we just paste that, it should fill the first one, second one, and then focus onto this one, right? So this is what we have just done. And in the else case, we will basically just go through one by one. Okay, so this is how it's going to look like. We'll just say focus onto the next one. And maybe we can save this and just test this out. I'll refresh. If I just say 1, 2, 3, it just moves on to the next one because I put one by one. If I just copy 1, 2, 3, I'll just cut this and try to paste it. Okay, so it just fills all them in and focuses on the next one. And if I just keep continue, so it didn't work out. Let me just get 1, 2, 3 again and paste it here. Okay, so it doesn't work out. Only it works if you put into the first one, which is something that we are like, this is something what we would like to have, right? We always want the user to start from the first one. And now we need to keep track of this with a use effect as well, so that if the user filled, let's say 6 characters, it should immediately click to this button, right? So we can create an event for this. I'll go ahead below everything. I'll just say use effect, and I'd like to just put a comment, auto submit when all fields are filled. Okay, so let's initialize a use effect. This would be called whenever the code changes, and we'll just say if code dot every digit is filled, right? If we just say digit is not equal to empty string, just like this, then we can, let me just delete this part. We'll just say call the handle submit function with the new event being submit. Let's try to create this handle submit. Okay, so let's go ahead and bind it to this form element. We'll just say on submit, call the handle submit. And inside the handle submit, basically we can prevent the default so that it doesn't refresh the page, and we can get the code and just make it to be string because currently it is an array. I'll say const verification code. This is going to be a string, and we can just say alert you submitted this code. Okay, so let's save and just test this out. I will copy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I just cut this, save this page, and just go ahead and paste it. Okay, so here it says verification code submitted from 1 to 6. And since alert is synchronous, it is blocking the UI, but the value should be there. If you say something like console.log, it should be looking a little bit better. Let's open up the console, clear everything, refresh the page, and then just paste it. Okay, there we go. It says verification code submitted. So I hope this makes sense at this point. I know that this function logic is completely like overwhelming if you are a beginner especially, but really this is the code that we need to type out. So maybe you can just pause the video at this point, just try to understand this line by line. And this is the output that we just have. So what we can do is right now build the sign up functionality so that once we get the verify email, we should be able to use this UI and submit the verify email code. Okay, so we'll go into the sign up page, and this is the functionality that we'd like to build. Now for the authentication functions and state, I'll be using ZooStand. So let's try to install it, and we're going to see what that does. Let's say npm install ZooStand, and make sure you install it under the front end. Let's create a folder under the front end, under the source, called store, and I'll just say auth store.js. Okay, so let's try to import the create function from ZooStand. So ZooStand is going to be our state management library. And basically, we're going to create all the states and functions needed for the authentication in one place, which is going to be this file. And we'll be able to use and call all of them in any component and in any page that we want to. So that would be the global state management solution for us. And for the requests, I don't really want to use the fetch. Instead, I'd like to use Axios, which is a little bit more, convenient. I'll say npm install Axios and make sure you're under the front end again. And this should install that package for us. Let's say import Axios from Axios package, and we can create a hook now. Export const use auth store, I'll say. And this is how we can really create it. We will basically return an object, and this function takes the setter as an argument. And you're going to see how we can use it. So we'll have a user state. Initially, it's going to be null. And once we sign up, we will update this user to be the actual user that is authenticated. And we'll have is authenticated as the Boolean value of false. Error, if we have any, it's going to be null initially. Is loading, so we can show some loading spinners. So we'll just say false initially, and let's say is checking auth. Let's say is checking auth, and this would be true initially, because whenever we refresh the page, just for a second, we will check for the authentication, if user is logged in or not. Depending on that, we might want to show the, let's say, the sign up page. Let me just go into the sign up. Okay, so depending on if user is logged in or not, we will either show the sign up or the home page, right? So this is that state we are keeping track of. And let's create a function called sign up. This is going to be an async function, and this would be taking the email, password, as well as the name of the user. And from here, we would like to just initially set the states. So let's say is loading going to be true and error would be null, right? Because we just started this function. Then we'll have try and catch. In the try, we will just say await Axios dot post, let's say, and our endpoint. So we can just say something like http localhost 5000 API auth sign up. So this would be fine, but every time I don't really want to type all this out. So what I can do is basically cut this part, right? Or even maybe the API auth as well, because this is the authentication app that we just have. So I'll create a variable. I'll say const API underscore URL, and it's going to be equal to this one. And now we can just really every time prefix it with it. So let's delete everything in this. Oops, so it should be looking like this. We will say first we would like to start with the API URL / sign up, and we can put our body, which is going to be email, password, and name. This is going to return us a response, and from here we can really extract the data. I will say now you should set the state. User would be response.data.user, because this is what we are returning in the backend. Let's take a look at it. Controller. When we sign up, in the response, we are returning the user field. That's why we say response.data.user. And now we can update the other states, such as is authenticated is going to be true, and loading state would be false. And in the catch case, we could just say set error is going to be error.response data.message. And if this is empty, we could just say error signing up, right? And loading state is now false. And we can just throw the error from this function so that we can really catch it in the handle submit function. Okay, so we just throw it in the catch, and once we use it, I think we're gonna see how that works. So that would be the sign up function that we just built. Let's try to use it in the sign up page. I'll just go into the sign up page, and we had the function called handle sign up, and here basically we would like to call that sign up function. So I'll just say first use auth store, and we would like to grab the sign up. Let's just say const sign up, because this is how we called it, right? Sign up, and we just destructure it. Now when we submit this, first we prevent the default, and we have try and catch. Let's say in the try we will say await sign up function with the email, password, and name. Let's make this to be async, and once we successfully complete this, we can just navigate the user. Let's say navigate, and maybe just grab that function, use navigate coming from React Router down. Okay, we'll just say once the user signs up, take them to the verify email page. And in the catch case, we can just console log it. Let's just say console log the error. Okay, so if we want to show some error in the UI, we can destructure it from here. Let's say error as well as the is loading state. Loading, because these are the things that we just called it, right? Error and is loading. And this is how we can destructure them. So we'll just go below the inputs and just show some kind of an error message. I'll just say if there is an error, I'll just go ahead and say p class name text red 500, font would be semi-bold, and that's it. Maybe margin top of 2, and we'll just render the error itself. Then for the loading state in the button, we'll just say if it is loading, we can show a loading icon. I'll just say loader coming from Lucid React. This is going to have the class name of, let's say, animate spin and mx of auto. Then size could be 24, and in the else case, we'll just say sign up. And let's say this would be disabled. Let's say disabled if we are in the loading state. I hope this makes sense now. Let's just try to test this out. First, I'll go into my application that we are currently building. Let's try to sign up. And I'll just put password from 1 to 6. Let's just see what is going to happen. We have the loading state. Do we have any errors in the console? Okay, so it looks like we cannot send a request to our server. It is because we didn't handle the course, right? So what we can do is basically just go into the backend and handle the course errors. And let me just try to install a package under the backend. We'll just say npm install, and not under the backend, but in the root, because this is the place we are installing packages for the backend. We'll just say npm install course. This is gonna go ahead and install that package. And we can really try to set that up in the index.js file. Let's try to get the course from course, right? This is the package. And I think here we can set that up maybe just below the app or below the express.json, above the express.json. App.use, we're going to call the course, and we need to put an object with the origin and credentials. So origin is going to be localhost 5173. This is our React application. And credentials is going to be true so that we can send the cookies in the request, right? This is going to be how we can handle the authentication. Okay, let's just save this. And with that, now we can accept requests from our front-end application. And to be able to send the credentials, we need to just add one kind of like an configuration here. I will say axios.defaults with credentials is going to be true. So in every single request, Axios will just put the cookies into the request header, right? This would just make it to be included. Okay, let's just try to save and see this in action. I'll say sign up. Hopefully this should work out this time. Okay, so here it says undefined reading data. Looks like it didn't work out. Let's take a look at the terminal. Okay, so we don't have the backend running in the first place. npm run dev, let's get this. So this is going to start our development server, right? Let's wait for this to just start. Okay, so if I just go ahead into the server.js or index.js, if I delete this line, let's see what is going to happen. I'll just say refresh this page, put a name, an email, and a password from 1 to 6. Okay, it says you got the course errors. Let me just bring this back and save. Now I'll just try to send again. But first, let me just refresh. And let's put the password and sign up. So here we go, we just sent the request, but we got an error that says user already exists. That is true. Let's go ahead and delete that user from the database and just try to sign up with that account again. I'll say sign up. Okay, there we go. We just got into the verify email page and it should send us an email. Even though it looks like we didn't got the email, but actually we just get that. Here it is under the promotions. So this is the verify code that we just got 0 minutes ago. I'll try to copy this and paste it to here, and nothing is going to happen because we didn't handle this case. So we just got the code, but it has not been submitted, right? Okay, so this is gonna be it for the sign up function, and next we can build the verify email functionality. So again, I'll just go here and create a function called verify email, and this is going to be an async function where we just take the verification code as the first argument. In the set case, we can update the error and set the loading state to be true. Then have a try catch. In the try, we'll say const response will be equal to await axios.post, and we will put the API URL and our endpoint, and we'll just send the verification code. But I think in the backend we are getting this just a code, so this is what I'll be doing. This is how we destructure it from the request.body, and this should be response. Then below this we can update the state. I'll just say set user will be response data.user, authenticated will be true in this case, and response the loading state will just be false. Below to it we could say return the response dot data, and in the catch let's update the loading state as well as the error and just throw it just in case we use it later in the video. Okay, so this is going to be it for the function. Super basic. We just sent a request to our endpoint with the code and just get a response back. Let's try to use this in the verification page. So as always, we'll just say use auth store. Just call this. This is going to give us, let's say, const the error case and is loading, and most importantly, verify email function. Since we have the loading coming from here, we can delete this one, and we'd like to call this function in the handle submit, I think, right? We'll just go here. We have the handle submit. Instead of console logging this, we will have a try and catch. In the try, we will say await verify email by passing the verification code. Let's make this to be async. And I think below to it, we could just say navigate the user to the homepage because they just verified their email. And we can show a kind of like a toast, which is a notification message. So I'll just go ahead, open up a terminal. Under the front end, I'll say npm install react hot toast. This is the package that we'll be using. So here we can just say toast dot success, and I'll say email verified successfully. Now to be able to make this work, first we need to go into the app.jsx, and below the routes we should say something like toaster get this from the react hot toast and just import it. Okay, so I think this is how we import it, and also import the toast just like this from react hot toast. Okay, let's try to just see this in action, and in the catch we could just maybe show a toast, or maybe let's just say set error. Do we have a state for the error case? No, we don't. So we can just console log the error. This is what I'll be doing. Console log the error, but we can go here and at some point just show the error, right? I'll go above the motion button and just say if we have an error, just show it inside this p tag. Okay, so let's try to test this out. This is the code that we just got. I'll put something wrong. 1 2 3 4 5 6. Here it says invalid or expired verification code. Let's delete everything, put the correct one. I'll just paste it. Okay, here it says email verified successfully. As soon as we put that in, it just submitted an event and it just verified it. Let's take a look at the database. I'll refresh this. User should be verified. There we go, and we should get a welcome email. Here it says 0 minutes ago, and this is the email that we just got, and it is working just like we expected. And we are in the homepage, and I think we can build the homepage now where we fetch the user data and just display it here, which is going to be the dashboard page, right? And to be able to fetch the user data, we can again create a function to be able to check the authentication status, right? So inside here we have sign up, verify email, and maybe below to this we can just create a check auth function which is going to be an async function, and we'll basically just send a request to our backend and just check if user is authenticated or not. Let's say set is loading first, or maybe instead of is loading, I'm sorry, that should be is checking auth, because this is the state that we just created, and we can just set the error to be null, and then we'll have a try and catch. In the try, we will just say response and send a request to our endpoint. So we called it as check-auth, and we're gonna get a response back. Then let's update the state. User would be response data.user, is authenticated would be true, is checking auth, obviously it is gonna be false because we just checked for it, and error could be null. So we already done the error case, so we can just skip it and close that off. And finally, in the catch case, we will update the error. So here, this is how it's going to look like, or null. Now we are not gonna show the message. I'll explain why. Let's delete this part. This would be null, and is checking auth is gonna be false. Okay, so we can also add things like is user authenticated to be false, but since this is the default value, I think we can skip it or just make it explicit if you really want to. So this is what I'll just put, and let's try to save, and we'll be calling this function. So we will go into the app.jsx. This is going to be the place that we will call that function. Let's try to import it. Let's say use auth store, and this is going to give us a couple of different states, such as the is checking auth and then the check auth function. Okay, so we can just call this in a use effect. Let's say use effect, import it, and we'll just run this in the initial state. Let's say call the checkout. So if you don't really put this, it is going to warn you that you should add it. Let's make it happy and put it. Then we can just say console log, and we can get the is authenticated state. Is authenticated, and let's get the user. So I'll just say is authenticated and just console log the user. Let's try to see how this is going to look like in the terminal. Currently we are logged in, so here it says is authenticated to be true, and we got the user object. We have every single detail other than the password because we removed it once we sent the response from the backend. And here you can see when you just refresh the page, for a second it is null until it fetches that user. So depending on this user value, we can protect our routes, because currently, even though I am logged in, I can still visit the sign up page, which is not really optimal, right? So I will create a component for this. I'll say redirect authenticated users to homepage. I'll say const redirect authenticated user. This is going to take the children as the first argument, and we will just say const is authenticated as well as the user. So we can just grab this from the use auth store, and I'll say if user is authenticated and if user account is verified. So only then we will actually take the user to the homepage. So I'll just say return navigate. This is going to be coming from React Router DOM. Let's say to the homepage and replace it with the current page. But else we can just return the current page, which is going to be the children. So this might look a little bit weird, but let's try to see how we can use it. So instead of just returning the sign up page, we will replace this with redirect authenticated user and put the sign up page into it. Okay, so this is how it is going to look like. Let's try to visit the sign up page now. So sign up, it took me to the home page because it hits this if check. it says user is authenticated and account is verified. So I'll just take it to the homepage. And let's do the same thing for the login page. Basically, I will copy this, paste it, and just say login page. Okay, so what else should we do? I will create a different route as well. This is going to be for the protected routes. So I will just say protect routes that require authentication. And let's try to create that component, protected route, which is going to be taking the children just like below, and we're going to get the is authenticated in user state from our hook from ZooStand, and we will say if user is not authenticated. So first, let's just check for this. I will say in this case, return the user to the login page, right? And we put the return so that we just get out of this function. And if user account is not verified, then in this case, we can take the user to the verify email page. And in the else case, we can just return the route, which is going to be the actual page. And since user is authenticated and verified, they can see the protected page. And we'll go ahead and wrap some of our pages with it, such as the home page. So let's go ahead and create a homepage component. For now, we just put the string text of home. So let's just say we would like to create a page for this. So you can call it as homepage or dashboard page. So it is not really important. I'll just call it as a dashboard page component.jsx and get this, save, close it. And now we're going to say this is going to be a protected route where we would like to render the dashboard page. Let's try to import it at the top. I'll just go at the very top and try to get this from the dashboard page just like this. And I think this should be working out immediately. So I'll go here, take a look at this. We are in the dashboard page because we are authenticated. Let's go into the application and try to clear out the cookies. So we have this token. This is our actual token we have. I'll just delete this. Now if I refresh, there we go. I cannot go into the homepage because I am unauthenticated. It just immediately redirects me back to the login page. So let's try to build the login page now. I will go and maybe shrink everything, close these, go into the login page component, and here we will add a function to be able to log in. I'll just put it below the sign up. I'll say login. This is going to take the email and password. Then we just need to put the logic really. And it is going to be actually really similar to what we have above. That's why I'll just copy it and paste it. And let's put a comma here. We update the loading state and error, send a request to the login with our arguments, and update the state where we get the user from the backend. And in the catch, we are going to just throw it. So this is going to be it. Let's save, go into the login page and just try to call it under the handle login. So let's grab these states and functions from this use auth store and delete this. We don't really need that hard-coded value. Let's say await login and put the email and password. Let's make it to be async, and below at some point we can really show the error. Below the forgot password dev, we'll just say if we have an error, let's show a p tag with text red 500, text small, margin bottom of, instead of 4, let's just make it to be true, and text instead of small, let's just say font would be semi-bold. Okay, with this should be working out. I will open up the application as well so that we can really see the token is being sent. These are the different cookies that I have, just ignore them. Let me just put the email that we logged in. So if I just put the wrong password, such as 123, it should say invalid credentials and nothing happened here. But if I put the correct one, which is 1234556, I just logged in and I just got the token. So this is the JWT token that we created. It is, let me just make this look like that. It is going to expire in 7 days, and it is strict of same site, right? And HTTP only, secure is false because we are in the localhost. In the production, that would be true, and everything is working as expected. So we can now build the dashboard page where we can see the user data as well as the logout button. And also here we have a kind of like a warning, or it looks like an error. In this case, I mean, like when we are checking for the authentication state, just for a second, we can really show a loading spinner. So this is what I'll be doing, is just say if is checking auth, we would like to return a loading spinner. Let's say loading spinner component. And this is something that we can just create pretty quickly. The JSX, let's say, and create it. And since this is pretty easy or basic, let's say loading spinner, I'll go ahead, copy it and paste it. You can grab this from this file under the components. We are never going to change this, so just go ahead and get that about 10 lines of code. And let's try to import it. Loading spinner, we should import it from the components. Okay, so this is what we just have. Let's save, and like just for a split second we should see it, but since this is super fast we cannot really. Let's try to mimic this. Under the check auth, I'll just sleep. Let's say await new promise. Let's just sleep for 2 seconds. Then here we can see if we have a slow internet connection, we would be seeing this and then the homepage. Okay, so this is how we can really sleep just for a second, or maybe like 4 hours really, by updating this field. Okay, so I'll just go into the dashboard page and try to build that page with the user data that we have. So this is gonna be inside a motion div. I'll just go ahead, delete this part and just really paste it, then walk you through it. Motion div, let's go ahead, import the motion from framer motion. And since I just paste these, I hope you guys don't mind it. We are just trying to speed up the UI design process. We don't really care about this at all, right? Our focus is to just really learn how to send emails, how to send, like forgot password mails, verify the user account, and things like that. So we are here to just focus on the authentication and not the UI styling. So basically we have the initial state of opacity 0, scale of 0.9, and once we animate it, this is going to be opacity 1 so that it is visible, and normal size. And in the exit case, we will also see some animation with some duration and some classes. Then here below to it, we'll have an h2 that says your dashboard or just dashboard. And below to it, we will have a div with this style. Let's just close that off and give a bit space, because inside this, we will have the profile information. So let's just grab this, paste it, and we can get the user from our hook. Let's go here, create the user state coming from use auth store, just like this. If we save, let's see what we're gonna get. Okay, so this is how that looks. Once you refresh, it just gets from the bottom, but this is super fast. We cannot really see it, which will be clear just in a second. Then below to it, we'll have one more motion div. So I'll just go below to this motion div, paste it, and just walk you through it. We have a format date function. Let's try to just grab it and put it maybe into a utils folder. So I'll just say under the source, right under the front end, create a utils.js and date.js file. So folder name should be just utils, my bad, not JS. and just go ahead and get this function where we just export it. Then we are going to import that. This should be coming from the utils. Let's try to import it manually. Not helpers, but we have date. Okay, so let's save and just see the output. This is how that looks. Account activity text with some green styling. Joined, this is the date, and last login was a couple of minutes ago. And this is really all we do with some transitions, h3 with some styles, p tag, where we just show the date that user created at, as well as last login state. So here it just says if there is a last login date, we're going to show it, but else we'll just say you just signed up. But I think in our case, we will never hit this check because we always have the last login date. So we can just really delete this part because we will always have the user last login field, right? Okay, so this is going to be it for this part as well. Now below to it, we would like to see a button that says logout. I would like to just create it first. Go under this dev, create a motion.dev, just like this. This is gonna take some states or props just to make it animated. Okay, just like this, and we can just put a button component. Now this button will look absolutely crazy in terms of classes. So let me just say motion.button and just put the, the props. So we just have class name, while hover, and tap states. On clicked it, we can call handle logout. And let me just format this so that you can see the entire classes. Let me just format this completely. Just go here. Okay, so these are the styling, and inside we'll just say logout. Let's try to create this function above. Const handle logout, we can just leave it empty. Okay, so this is how it's going to look like. Once you refresh, everything just stacks, like coming from the bottom. And now we can build the logout functionality, which is going to be pretty easy to do. We'll go into the auth store.js, and maybe below the login, we can just say logout. This is going to be an async function, no arguments needed, and we will just send a request to our endpoint. So this is what we'll be doing. Is loading state will be true initially, then error will be null. Let's put a comma here, send a request to our endpoint, and say user is null, is this not authenticated, no errors, and no loading states. Let's try to call that. We'll just go here, get the logout function, and basically just call it. Let's say logout, and it should be good to go. I will open up the application tab just to see the cookies in action. So we have the token. Once I log out, we got into the login page and token is just being deleted. That means logout functionality is also working out. So with that, now we can sign up, log in, log out, verify our email, and next we can build the forgot password page with its functionalities. So I'll see you in the next section. Okay, so after a break, let's move on. We need to build the forgot password page. So I'll just go into the app.jsx and just create a route for this. And I just realized we have two different variables that we're not using under the app component. So I'll just go ahead and delete it. And let's give a little bit space so that this is looking a little bit more formatted. Oops, what have I done? The pages should be just here. I didn't mean to do it. Okay, so we just give a little bit space in this code. Let's try to build a route. Now the sign up and login routes are redirecting, right? Then we have the home page or the dashboard page, which is a protected route. And I think the verify email could just be a public route. If you really want to wrap it with something like redirect authenticated user or like you can do it. I'll just leave it like this for now. Okay, so I'll just go ahead, duplicate this one, and maybe just call it as forgot dash password. So forgot password, this is going to be the route for this. And for the element, let's make this to be, I think, a redirected, let's say redirect authenticated user. If user is logged in, they cannot visit the forgot password page. So I'll just go ahead, say forgot password page, and copy this name, go into the pages, create a page for this .jsx. Let's just try to export something and import it. Okay, my VS Code doesn't really work as expected, so I'll just import it manually with the help of Copilot. There we go, we just got the forgot password. And let's take a look at it, how it's going to look like. And let me just show you the workflow that we'd like to build. So this is forgot password workflow. This is going to be the page UI. Okay, so we'll just put our email and we'll just say send reset link. Then we're going to see this page because we just submitted this form, and it's going to say if an account exists for this email you provided, you're going to get an email just shortly. And we'll get the email. Once we click to it, it is going to take us to the reset password page. So we actually need to build this one as well. And it's gonna look like this, super simple, just two input elements with a button. And once we click it, it should update the password in the database. And once this is done, we're gonna get a successful email. Okay, so I just wanted to show you the entire workflow once again. And let's try to build this UI now. This is gonna be in the forgot password page. So again, I just want to speed up the process a little bit and just give you the logic a little bit more and talk about in the logic, right? So I'll just go ahead and just first get the motion from framer motion. Let's just get this. We're gonna get the use state from React, and let's just say import it. Then we can just go ahead get our states. So we are going to keep track of the email as well as if user is submitted this form or not. Once they submit, we are going to update the UI to be look like this. So this is why we are keeping track of this state. And from the auth store, we're going to get two different things. First, the loading state, and we're going to get the forgot password function, which is something that we'll create just in a second. Let's go ahead and maybe build it pretty quickly. I'll go into this file. So we have the sign up, login, logout, verify email, checkout. Let's delete this space and maybe put it here, right? I'll just say forgot password, which is going to be an async function. We're going to take the email and send a request, right? So request will go to our API URL. Let's just first, maybe I can actually paste the code and walk you through. So as always, we just update the loading state, no errors, no messages at all. Then we say Axios post to the forgot password endpoint with the email, right? This is going to give us a response back, and we can just show the message as the response, right? That would be something like what do we return actually? Let's take a look at it. Auth controller under the forgot password function. So we return something like password reset link sent to your email, or else we just show the error message. And we'd like to basically grab that message. And in the catch case, we just throw it so that we can really maybe just use it. And here we can, I think, also set that up into the error. Let's just say error is going to be error.response data.message. And if this is not provided from the backend, we could just put a general error message just like this. Okay, so this is function. I hope this makes sense. Super basic, only sending a request and getting a response back. And we'll just go here. We just grab the function and we can build the UI pretty quickly, which is going to be a motion div initially. Let's try to return this and close that up. We have some animations with some class names. Feel free to type this out or grab this from this file in the GitHub repo. and we'll have a div, let's say with the class name padding of 8 from all directions. Then we'll just have an h2, so I can just grab it and paste it. This is gonna say forgot password, and it is just gonna have this kind of like styling where we go from a brighter green color to a little bit more dark color, right? This is what we do using gradient to the right direction. And now we can just say if is not submitted, say, then we'd like to render this part, else we'd like to render this part. And in this one, if it is not submitted, we can just return a form. I'll just say form element is not going to have an action, but instead on submit, let's just say handle submit function. Let's create it for now, just leave it an empty function so that we don't really get any errors. And in the form, we will have a p tag that says enter your email. Okay, enter your email address and we'll send you a link to reset your password. And below to it, we can really call our input component with a couple of props, such as icon is gonna be mail coming from Lucid React. Let's import it, then give a little bit space, scroll so that we have a little bit more space, right? Type would be email, and we will have the placeholder, let's say email address, and then we'll have the value, which is going to be the email state, and on change we will update that state, and let's just make this to be required. There we go. And below this, I think below this input we will have a button, which is going to be this one, right? So I think I'll just go ahead, copy this and paste it, then walk you through, because this looks absolutely crazy in terms of classes. So I don't really want to type all this and just waste 2 minutes. Instead, let's just paste it and I'll just walk you through it. So why do we have an error? Because we didn't provide this case. And let's just create a loading state for now. Oh, we already have it coming from use auth store. Okay, let's try to build this part now. If form is submitted, we will show this part. Okay, so let's try to build this UI with a title, icon, as well as a p tag. Then it says back to login page. And as always, I'll just try to grab this and provide it because it is super simple, not anything complicated, just UI. If you really want to, pause the video, type this out, or get it from the GitHub repo. And finally, below this and above the div, or maybe I think below this div as well. Okay, so it should be just below here. We will have a div, and this is gonna have the class name. Let's say padding x of 8, y of 4, background gray 900, and then we'll have opacity of, let's say, 50, flex, justify, centered. And inside this, we'll have a link. This is gonna take us to the login page, but first let's import it from React Rotterdam to /login, and let's give text small, text green 400, and we'll have on the hover state just underline it so that it has this feeling of a link. Flex items would be centered, and finally we'll just have arrow left icon coming from Lucid React with the size of 4 and margin right of 2. Let's just grab this, and this is gonna say back to login. Hopefully this should be it for the UI. We need to import the loader from Lucid React, and let's see. Okay, we just have a couple of warnings, but it's because we are not using them. We'll be using them just in a second. Let's try to test this out. Once I click to this, it should take me to the forgot password page, and once I submit this, we should be calling our function to be able to do the magic. So let's just say event.prevent default so that it doesn't refresh the page, and we'll just call the forgot password with the email that user passed in. And once this is submitted, once this is done successfully, we'll just say is submitted gonna be true so that we can update the UI. Okay, so I'll just go ahead, put my email. This is the user that we have in the database, gmail.com. Sent this, we have a loading state for a second. There we go. We should be able to get the email, and I can see I just got that. Let's click it. Okay, so 0 minutes ago, that means we just get this. And if I clicked it, it should take me to the reset password page, but we don't really have anything for this one. And here we can see we got the token in the UI so that we can really have this securely. And this is gonna expire in 1 hour. So before it expires, let's just go ahead and build the UI so that we can test that out. Before we build the UI, let's try to create our very last function, which is going to be reset password. Okay, let's say reset password. This is going to be taking the, let's say, first token, and then this is going to take the password. Okay, so this is going to be our new password that we just passed. Let's say set is loading to be true so that we can show some kind of loading spinner, error, null, and if you really want to, you can put the message null. And do we have like a message? Okay, so we don't even have the message state. Why did I put the message here? Sorry about this. This is completely my mistake. If you get confused, we shouldn't really have this. I thought we have the message state, but looks like we don't. Okay, things like this could happen while recording. Sorry about this. Okay, we'll just go ahead and just say try and catch. In the try, we'll like to just say const response as always. Okay, we'll just say send a request to the reset password, and like the endpoint was taking the token, and we are going to send the password as the object, right, as our body. Then we'll say set the I think we don't have a message, so I think here I also use the message, but we don't really have that state. So did we use message in any other places? So we don't. Just because I copied and pasted that last two functions, we are using the message. If you really want to, you can create a message state and use it. I think, what should we do? Let's just try to maybe create it. Okay, so I'll just go here and just say message is going to be equal to null initially, and here we'd like to update that state, right? This is what we'd like to do. Let's say message is going to be coming from the response, and the loading state in this case could be false because we just completed this, and in the catch case we could update the loading to be false and putting the error message and throw it if you really want to use it later later when you call that. So if we save, this should be working out. This is the entire function that we would need. We just got the token and password, sent a request to this endpoint, and just get a response back, either success or false. Okay, so let's try to build the UI. Under the app.jsx, first we need to create a page for this, which is going to be reset password page. And this is going to be taking, let's see where that is. So this is going to be taking a like dynamic value. So let's try to do it. Under here, I'll just say give me a route. This could be self-closed. We'll just say if the path is reset password, and this should start with a slash, and if it has a token, so we can just put this, so this is going to be dynamic value, and in the element we will show, let's say this is going to be redirect authenticated user route, and we'll just say reset password page. Let's try to build this. Okay, just get that and try to import it at the top. Let's just make sure this is the correct path. There we go. Let's save and go into this page, and first maybe just build the UI. So here we'd like to keep track of the password, right? Let's try to create the state. So we'll have two different state, one for the password and one for the confirm new password, so that we can really just check if both of them are matching. So this is what I'll be doing. Just grab those states, kill the sidebar, and try to import the use state. And also let's grab the motion from framer motion. And what we can do is called use auth store. And from here, we'll grab the reset password function. We'll get the error is loading. Oops, let's just say is loading, as well as the message state that we just created. And below to it, we are going to take the token from the URL, because let's take a look at this now. If I click to this email, this is going to take me to this page, and I would like to grab this token. And to be able to do this, we'll be using params. Okay, so let's just say use params hook coming from React Rotterdam, and this is going to give us the token. Let's say const destructure the token, and we call this as token because this is what we said. If this was like token X, then this would also be token X, but this is going to be token in this case. Okay, we just got the params, and finally we'll get the navigate function because we'll be using all of them. Let's say use navigate. Okay, let's try to maybe build the UI pretty quickly. And for the motion div, let's try to just return it just like this. Again, feel free to type this out or grab it from the GitHub repo. And we'll have a div with p padding of 8. Oops, this should be closing with a div, and inside we'll have a h2. So this will say reset password with these styles, and if we have any errors, we'll just show it below to it, and if we have any messages, we can show that as well. Then below to it, we'll have a form. Let's say form, and let's just put an on submit function, handle submit. Let's create it. For now, this could be an empty function, and let's try to get an input. This is going to have the log icon. Let's import the input as well as the log image or icon from Lucid React. Type of password, placeholder that says new password, value on change, and this is going to be required. Let's get the confirm password as well. Okay, so this is also going to have the exact same icon, but why do we, so it says log is undefined. It should be coming from Lucid React. Okay, so it just imported that. And finally, we'll just have a button. Let me just save, get this formatting. Below these inputs, we will have a button that says set new password. Okay, again, this is looking crazy, but we don't really want to care about the UI. And probably what I could suggest you is to create a button component that could be reusable just like the input. So that would be a great challenge for you. So you would call a button just like this instead of saying motion.button and putting these styles every single time. So you would just call this and give, let's say, fields such as on click, and you would handle that, but you wouldn't really care about the styling. So this could be kind of like a challenge for the end of the video, right? Okay, I'll just save and let's see. We are not using them, that's why we have the warnings, but we should be able to see the UI. So this is our application. So this is also our application. This is how the UI will look like. And once we click to this, it should really handle the magic, right? So let's try to first prevent the defaults. We'll have a try catch, or maybe before that we could say if password is not equal to the confirm password, we can just say alert passwords do not match and just return out of this function. And below to this, we will say await call the reset password with the token and the password. We're getting the token from the params and password from the input. Then if this is completed successfully, we could just say toast.success password reset successfully, and we could just say redirecting to login page, and you could just put 3 dots because this is going to take about 2 seconds. So we can just say if there is not any errors, right? And probably there's not going to be any errors, because if we were able to get to here, I'll just say set timeout, navigate to the login after 2 seconds, and let's try to wrap this with a try catch. I will cut it for a second, try and catch, put this into the try, and in the catch, let's see what we can put. Just show a toast that says either error dot message. If this is empty, then we could put a general message. Okay, so let's try to test this out. For the new password, I'll just put 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Okay, let me just put this again. Now I will just put the wrong password. It's gonna say passwords do not match, and let's just put the correct one. So resetting, and there we go. We are just redirected into the login page. And let me just try to log in with the new email. This is the email I think we had. And let's put the old password, or maybe a wrong password. I just put from 1 to 7, which is incorrect. Invalid credentials. Let me just put the correct one. There we go, we just logged in and everything seems to be working as expected. So we joined August 3, and as of today, so it is midnight, we just logged in. And I think with this functionality is also done. Okay, so with this, the only thing we left is the deployment. And let's take a look at it just for a second on a diagram. So currently this is the state of our application. We have the server running on localhost 5000 and client on 5173. So wouldn't it be cool if we just run both of them under the same domain, which is a lot more easier and actually convenient, so that we don't really care about the course errors, some different configurations. We just serve both the backend as well as the React app from the same domain, and let's see how we can do it. It is actually easier than you think. So I'll just go ahead and close everything, and just before that, I just wanted to mention, if you want to build more pages on top of this, let's say you have something like profile update page, then you would just create a route, make it to be protected just like this one, right? So that unauthenticated users cannot visit that page. And then you would go into the backend under the, let's say, this route that we have. Let's say you would maybe duplicate this, call this as update profile, and you would just make it to be a protected route just like this. So it is first going to verify the token so that this user is authenticated or not. Then you would call the update profile function. So there are millions of examples in the channel. I have built really complex applications with this stack, and after completing it, you can check them out if you really wonder how to do so. Or you can just take a look at the source code in the GitHub. Okay, so let's try to deploy this. This is all I have to say for the, for the incoming features that you would like to add. So first things first, we need to build a script under the package.json. Let's see how this is going to look like. So first off, we have a dev script. This is something that we just only run in the development. But this is not only going to be the script that we would need, we also need one to be able to start our application in the production, right? So I'll just say start, and this would be calling the same file, but this time with Node, because we don't really care about the restarts, and in the production, we don't really need it. But what we need is first build this application. So I'll just create a script called build, and when we deploy our application, we will first run this script and then start our application. This is going to make a lot of sense just in a second. Let's say first we would like to install all the dependencies for the backend, because now just think about this. When we deploy this application to GitHub, we are not going to have the Node modules. Let me actually kill all the terminals and just delete the Node modules for the backend. So I'll just provide the access so that it can really delete it. Let's say delete permanently. And in the front end, we will also not gonna need the Node modules when we deploy this to the GitHub, because they are get ignored, right? Okay, so like what are we going to be doing is to just first install the dependencies for the backend so that we can get the node modules in the root. And then we will say, now we would like to install the packages for the front end. So we'll say and npm install, but run this, let's say prefix, under the front end folder. So this is all it says. Run this command under the front end folder. So that's why we just say prefix. And then we would like to build our front end application as well. So we'll just say npm run build and run this under the front end folder. Once we run this, Vite is going to build this front end application for us. Let's see how this is going to look like. If I just say cd into the front end and npm run build, Vite is going to create a special folder called dist, but it didn't for some reason. I think first, let's just see, why didn't we get that? Under the package.json, okay, we actually have it, npm run build. So probably we don't have the node modules. So let's say npm install. This is what it says. Vite is not recognized. Okay, so it is installing the packages, and this is what actually will happen. So it'll first install the packages for the front end and then run the npm run build. So what we are seeing here is the actual, it is the actual workflow that is going to happen in the deployment environment. Okay, we got all of our packages. Now, if we just say npm run build, Vite is going to build a production ready application, which is our React application, right? And it's going to put it into a dist folder. Let's just see. I just want you to see this workflow. That's why I'm just going a little bit slow, but okay, so here we can see this is the actual React application, React code that we have written so far. We have the index.html file as well as all the JavaScript. So this looks terrible, right? Absolutely horrifying, but this is actually minified so that it is taking less space and more optimized. Basically, it's faster. And we have all of our stylings as well. Okay, so this is what is going to happen at the end of the day. Under this we have index.html. This is going to be our React application. This is the entry point. Let's delete this, delete the node modules as well. And this is what we'll have in the GitHub repo. So from there, we'll just deploy it. What we need to do, just add some configurations under the index.js. So here I'll first get a package from node. I'll just say import path from path. This is a built-in node module. Then we'd like to get a variable. So I'll just say const underscore underscore their name, which is going to be path.resolve. And then we'll go below this API auth route, and we'd like to make the front end folder to be our static assets. So this will only happen in the production. So we'll just say if process.env node env, if it is equal to the production, right? Only then run this if case. So we'll just say app.use express.static, and we'll just say path.join the directory name. So this is the variable. And then from here, we would like to go under the front end, under the dist folder, and just make this to be our static assets. So what is this? Their name is, it is basically where we have in the root. From this, we'll go into the front end, and from there, we will go under the dist folder. And then we will just say app.get all the other routes other than the API auth. We would like to render the React application. So I'll just say request and response. Let's just get that. This is the controller function. So from here, we would like to just send a file, which is going to be that index.html. So let's say res.send file, go under the front end, dist, and return the index.html file. This would be the React application itself. And we have seen this file. Okay, so that should be it. Very last thing we need to do is that when we run the npm run dev, the node env should be equal to the development. I'll just go ahead, copy this, and in the start case, this would be the production. Okay, so we'll be running this in the production environment, and this is in our local machine when we develop this application. So let's try to actually open up our terminal, maybe kill this, create a new one. I will just, from the root, I'll just run this build command. Let's see what is going to happen. So first, it's going to install all the packages for the backend. We got the node modules, and once this is done, it is going to run the second one, which is for the front end. So we just got the front end node modules as well. Then it is going to build the front end application so that we can get the dist folder. Okay, I'll just wait for this to complete. Okay, it installed all the packages. Now it is going to run the build command. Building for production. Okay, so we just got the dist folder, as you can see. Now what we can do is just start this application, which is going to be in the production mode. Let's see, hopefully this should be working out. I'll just say npm run start, or it is the exact same thing if you just say start. It doesn't really matter for the start script. So let's see what's going to happen. It is just running here. Node-env is equal to production, and it is going to run the index.js. And since we are listening in the 5000 port, we can now just visit localhost 5000, both get our API as well as our React application, because we are in the production mode. Let's test this out. Okay, just ignore this. I will just say localhost 5000. So there we go. I just visit my server, but I can get the React application because we added this configuration. We say any other routes than API auth, you should send the React application. And if you hit this route, then you can just handle the backend logic. So I'll just go here and just maybe try to log out. And before that, let's open up our network tab so that we can really see the fetch is going to happen. Okay, so we just got 200 status code, which is success for the logout. And under the application, we don't really have the token cookie. So let me just try to log in with the actual credentials. So I'll just first put the wrong one. Here it says invalid credentials, and I'll just put the correct one now. We just got the token and logged in. Okay, so this is what is going to happen in the production environment as well, which is going to be render.com. But before that, we need to push this code to the GitHub. So let's do it now. I will first maybe kill everything, and we need to ignore this .env file. So you can create a git ignore under the root, but since we already have it under the front end, I will basically drag this and drop it into the root. Okay, so since this is in the root, this will affect everything in this project. Here we are ignoring the node modules, the dist folder, and we can put the .env file as well, and just initialize a git repo. I will kill my server, and I think there is just one thing that I forgot. Under the source, under the app, so any other pages than these, if we hit, we can just show something like 404 page. And if we really want to see how to do it, I will duplicate this. So let's say any other page with the asterisk, and we can just show a, let's say, not found page. Oops. You can really create this, but what I'll be doing is just take the user to the home page. Let's say navigate to home and replace the current route with it. So this is just something to keep in mind. I just wanted to mention this. Let's say catch all routes. Okay, I'll save this and we should be good to go. I will go ahead, shrink this. We have the .env file being ignored. Let's open up the terminal, just say cls, clear the console, and git init. So initialize a git repository, and here we can see .env is grayed out and node modules also is being grayed out. as well as the dist folder. So everything is just being grayed out. That means they are not going to be pushed to the GitHub. Let's visit our GitHub account and create a new repo. So let's create a new repo. I'll just say MERN advanced auth, and I'll just make this to be private. Once I publish this video, it is going to be public. So if you really want to, you can just go with the public immediately. Let's say create this repo, and we're going to get this command or the script. We'll just go ahead and paste it, which is going to push this code to our GitHub account. But here it says, okay, so we have some errors because we didn't have any commits. So I'll just say git add all, and we'll say git commit commit -m for the message. This is what that means, and we'll just say project completed. And now that we have a commit, we can really go ahead, copy this and paste it. Okay, so this is going to push this code to the GitHub. Now, if I refresh this page, I should be able to get the code, right? And we're going to go into the render dashboard. This is completely free to get started with. You can just sign up with your GitHub account. This is what I'll be doing. I already have an account, so I'll just go ahead and log in and just say deploy a web service. And it is going to be this one. So the last commit was seconds ago. And let's say connect. Okay, so don't change anything here. For the build command, let's just say npm run build, because this is the command that we'd like to build our application with. And we'll just say for the start, we can just say npm run start. Now we'll go with the free tier. The only downside is it is going to go into the inactive mode after 15 minutes of not visiting your web page. But I think it is fine for a demo project like this. Then for the environment variables, let's just put all of them. So we have the Mongo URI, and let's go ahead and grab it. This is what we had for our database. Paste the value, and let's say add a new one. For the port, we could really put 5000. And for the JWT secret, we could just put anything. Let's say my secret 123. As I said, you might want to make this a little bit more complex, hard to imagine. We can skip the node-env because we're already setting it in the start command. And we can get the mail trap token. I'll just put this and get the value as well. And then we will grab this and also mail trap endpoint. Okay, now for the client URL, for now we don't really have a URL because we didn't deploy this application. First, we are going to deploy this, and render will give us a client URL. Then we will add it to here. So this means we need to deploy this application twice to make it work without any issues. Okay, so I think this is the very last thing we need to add. Let's try to deploy this web service. This is going to take a bit of time, and once this is done, I'll just be right back. So this is just being completed. It says your service is live without any issues, which we got this URL. So I'll just copy this and let's visit this. This is not going to work initially, and we need to fix this. So if I just try to log in, let's see, probably it is not going to work. Let's say .com and 123, let's say login. Okay, so we just don't get any errors. So let's take a look at the console. So it says connection refused because we are trying to send a request to the localhost, which is we don't have, right? We are not in the localhost, we are in the production. So we need to visit the auth store.js, and we need to update this API URL because currently when we try to sign up or log in, we are trying to send a request to the localhost. We need to fix this. So let's just make it to be dynamic. I will say import.meta.env, let's say .mode. If it is equal to development, only then we would like to send a request to localhost. But in the else case, just send a request whatever the current URL is in the production /API/auth, right? So this is what we would like to add. I hope this makes sense. This is for the production and this is for the development. And we need to redeploy this application. But before that, we also need to add this environment variable. Let's go into the environment. This is going to be the client URL. I think this is how we called it, right? Let's say client underscore URL. Okay, so it says not a group name. What have I done? Let me just go back. Okay, I'll just say add a new environment variable. And we're gonna get this value that is being deployed. Okay, so it should look like this. Don't put the trailing slash. So not like this, but just .com. We're going to save the changes and we need to push our code as well. So I'll just say git add all and let's say git commit -m. I'm not really sure if you can see it, but it is at the very bottom. Git commit -m and I'll just say URL updated in auth store.js. Okay, so let's say git commit and git push. This should push this to our GitHub account, right? Let's refresh. Here it says we just got the latest commit and render is going to take a look at it and just try to deploy this application again. So this is trying to deploy it. Once this is done, I'll just be right back. So let's click to this one. Okay, so it is building and hopefully this should be alive just in a second. Okay, so we just got build successful and the deployment should be alive just in a second. Let's try to actually close all these. We don't really need them. This is taking a bit too much space and just getting a bit confusing. Let's close this one maybe, or let's keep it. Okay, so here it says it is live. Let's visit and close this one as well. So this is the latest deployment. I will try to first log in. gmail.com. Let's put the wrong password. It should say invalid credentials. Okay, so previously it says error while logging in, but now it actually says invalid credentials. And I'll put the correct one and it should be working out. There we go. We are just logged in. Let's try to log out and try to reset our password. I will say this is my email at gmail.com, send reset link. Okay, so this is going to hopefully send it. We even already got it. It is lightning fast, I was going to say, but this is the one that we just got. Let's click to this one. This is going to take us to actual application. And we can just say new password is going to be 123456. And if I just put 123, passwords do not match. Let's just put the correct one from 1 to 6. Resetting. Okay, so it is going to take us to the login page. Let's try to log in with this new password from 1 to 6. Okay, so it is working. What I'll be doing, also just delete this user from the database and try to sign up so that we can check out if we are getting welcome emails and things like that. Okay, so I'll just try to sign up. Let's say this is me and gmail.com. Password from 1 to 6, let's just put and just say sign up. Okay, it should send us an email. Okay, here it says verify your email, and we just got also the reset successful when we update our password. So this is like 1 minute ago or so. And let's try to verify our email. I will copy this and paste it. Verifying email verified successfully. And we should be able to get a welcome email. There we go. It just works as expected. We have our company name and then the username with the, so to say, template, right? We can unsubscribe from the email as well, which is going to hopefully unsubscribe us with the help of mail trap, and we can see all the unsubscribe case under the suppressions. Let's click it. So here it just says this user just unsubscribed. So this is what suppressions does. Let's just say reactivate, which is something that you shouldn't be doing. If your users is unsubscribing, then just let them unsubscribe. And here we can just see more about this. Here it says like basically unsubscribed recipients will be under the suppressions, and we can also see the stats such as the open rate, and I think we should have our categories as well. Like in the email verification, we sent 7 different emails, and for the welcome we sent 5. That means 2 of our users didn't verify their accounts. So you can just take a look at all the stats, and everything should be working out in our case. And let's test out this case. If we visit a URL that doesn't exist, it should take us to the homepage.